Libyan authorities have opened an investigation into a report appearing to show African migrants being sold as slaves in the country. Libya's interior minister has said that instructions were given to form an investigative committee to gather evidence on the claims.
نكون متهاونين مع من يخالف هذه القواعد وهذه المبادئ الأساسية للتعامل الإنساني، سواء هذا مع المواطنين أو حتى مع الأجانب المتواجدين، وهو مطلب إنساني عالمي. أصبح اليوم الإنسان لا يقبل بأقل من ذلك، ولكن نحن في صدد انتظار النتائج أو نتائج التحقيقات التي أعتقد قريبا سوف تكون قد وصلت إلى نهايتها.
The video caused a global outcry when it was released last week. It showed what it said was an auction of men offered to Libyan buyers as farmhand and sold for $400, a chilling echo of the trans-Saharan slave trade of centuries past.
This is not where these migrants want to be, heading back to the African continent, thanks to aid from the Italian government to reinforce Libya's coast guard. It's helped cut the number of migrants arriving in Italy to under 22,000 in the last 3 months. It's the lowest total for 4 years. But people trafficking networks in Libya continue to flourish because of government chaos as rival groups battle for power. These Ivorians, repatriated to the Ivory Coast from Libya, say they risk being sold into slavery.
They sell Africans over there. In Libya, they sell men. Even 15-year-old Libyans are there in a car, they're armed. They'll come and kidnap you, and they'll sell you for $70 to $150. And then others will resell you.
As soon as you arrive in Libya, the first thing that happens is that you are taken away and sold. Our black brothers from West Africa, wherever you are from, a Malian, a Senegalese, or any other nationality from the West, even an Ivorian, you are sold. And for what? $700.
Thousands of North Korean women and girls are sold and trafficked into sexual slavery in China, generating millions of dollars for local crime syndicates, according to a new report by London-based rights group Korea Future Initiative published on Monday. According to the report, most of the victims who were coerced, sold, or trafficked were women and girls aged between 12 and 29. Business Insider reports many of them are forced into the multi-million-dollar sexual slavery trade, whether through prostitution, forced marriage, or cyber sex trafficking, within their first year outside of North Korea, the report.
Been changed to Dark Outpost, henceforth and evermore, because we decided that was a much better name for what we're talking about. We decided to cover it from the beginning and kept on going, because we don't want these children to be forgotten. Just a few months ago, the weekend of Easter Sunday, over 35,000 children were rescued from underground tunnels by the United States military. Now, the story has been kept quiet. You haven't heard a damn thing about it in the mainstream media, with the exception of say it's all fake. Well, of course they say it's fake. They don't want this information getting out. So they dismiss it. We know that it's happened. Some of these kids, and we're going to talk more about this with our very special guest, Jessie Czebotar, when we have her on next, which I think is going to be tomorrow. These kids were, what they went through. You've heard her story. You know what she's gone through. You know how credible she is. You guys keep writing me questions to ask her. We're going to ask her some more of your questions tomorrow. You know what's going on. This is real. This is not fake. But the mainstream media continues to say, well, it's all blue smoke and mirrors. Blue smoke and mirrors. Now, in the United States alone, 35,000 kids were rescued. Worldwide, do you know how many children have been rescued? Now, when I tell you, the number is going to be staggering to you. But when I tell you this, I want you to keep in mind, if the number of children that I'm going to tell you were rescued were indeed rescued, how many are still out there? Worldwide, million.
Samaritan, and they sent her from North Carolina up to New York City. So apparently, she is working in a MASH type unit in Central Park. And I don't know what all the details of what she told my mom. I don't know if it's more than what I've already told you, but she just said the thing with the kids, it's real. And I have to tell you, it's horrible. So horrible. And she said, please, everybody be praying for those children and for the medical people that are taking care of all this. So, but it's in Central Park as far as I know, and these tunnels from the maps that I...
Dude, I know somebody personally whose girlfriend is a nurse and knows other nurses, and she's in contact with one of the nurses at Central Park, and they say they're just rescuing kids that are severely screwed up, like they were sex slaves from birth kind of situation. Some of them are deformed. But she's 100% sure that she trusts her friend, and I know her personally. So it's not like fourth-hand information. It is second-hand. But she says the rescue operation has begun, and that's maybe probably what the ships are for.
Yeah, guys, just a quick video, guys. This is from the White House. Does that look like children being rescued? The video is very weak, but you can see that there's an adult and maybe some smaller sized individuals, like children. And this is possibly when it went dark. I don't know what's going on, guys. Children coming out of the White House.
And then just to the right in these trees, just on the left side of this fence, that's where this thing is.
This is a prison cell. Only kids are being held down here.
And they brought me into the camp and showed me the underground bunker. It was basically a giant plastic container with a hole only small enough for a child to crawl in and out of. And it was angled in such a way, and it was buried underground, that a small child that was in there could not have gotten out on their own.
They're having them slide up.
There's a child's vanity and a hospital toilet. That looks like a child's car seat. Strollers and children's toys and clothing and food packets and stuff like that. So clearly children had been kept here. All right, so with these straps. But one thing that was really disturbing was there were arm restraints, wrist restraints on two trees angled like this to where friends of mine that are investigators that do a lot of stuff on the border say, Craig, that's a rape tree. That looks exactly like wrist restraints for a rape tree. It doesn't look like anything else. This is clearly a disturbing and wrongful thing going on. It's inhumane. It's shocking and upsetting to any deep.
Most people think of slavery as a practice of the past, but the Australian Walk Free Foundation reports that enslaving human beings as property still exists. Mining magnate Andrew Forrest, who helped fund the report, says there are more slaves today than ever before.
There's been no era as prolific in terms of the growth of slavery, that exploitation of the very, I think, weakest, darkest side of the human mind, that is willing to totally abuse for exploitation of greed, profit, sex, whatever it is, another human being. And in our population as we sit in the modern day world, there's never been the number of slaves, probably even collectively, as there are in the world today.
Modern-day slaves are forced into unskilled labor, prostitution, and domestic work. Children are not spared, as they are forced to become soldiers, brides, and workers at a very young age. The report says sub-Saharan Africa has the highest percentage of people enslaved, but the biggest number of slaves live in Asia, about 14 million in India and 3 million in China.